So I want to talk a little bit about this idea of love, and I have planned on, going into various people's or various philosophers' outlooks on love or their thoughts about what love is, because there is philosophy of love that does exist in the realm of philosophy that I do plan on going over at some point. I have had that in my to-do lists. You know, when I plan videos, I make a to-do list. Basically, I make a list with things that I want to do, and then I check them off. Or I check them off. I put a check next to them when I have prepared for it, and then if it's especially if it's like a video that's about like a big philosophical thing, which I want to talk about. Something like this, I can just do off the cuff. It's not a huge deal. Um, and then once I do it, I cross it off. So I have a list of things that I want to do, and this is kind of in the philosophy of love is something I've wanted to get into, and it has been on my to-do list for a long time. But given what has just happened in my life, because I guess basically to put it, I don't want to talk a whole lot about my situation, because I find that boring when others do that, when they talk about their lives and in a long drawn out manner without linking that to anything more useful or to do anything else with that. Um, but to put briefly where I'm at, if you watch my new update video, I've talked a little bit about that, and basically I was in a relationship where I was engaged, and where I thought that woman was it for me. So you know, everybody I feel like is going to be in a situation in their life, unless they swear themselves to solitude, where when they're with somebody, they have this. I don't know why I'm holding quarters. They have this idea when they are with somebody, when it comes to a point in their relationship when they feel like that there is nothing that could separate you from that person, and this person is the end all be all of the existence of love. What they call the one. Um, and I kind of the whole idea of the one is the one is sort of falling apart for me, um, because and that's an emotional thing that I have to deal with, because I feel like that still does exist to an extent, because I was in a relationship for 2 years, that was and I've been in a couple. I've been in two other relationships. I'm kind of an introvert, and I don't want to let somebody into my life unless they are worth that. Especially usually when it comes to a woman, like when it comes to a woman, like I'm not gonna let this person into my life or even talk to them unless I find them worthy of, or not worthy, but unless I, you know, find them worth talking to, or and if things get serious, worth being in my life. And there's basically one other serious relationship where that was the case, and I found out that my first real relationship was really nothing, and it was somebody who didn't really where that whole idea was not really love, and recently what has happened to me, coming out of a 2-year relationship where I had this idea in my head that that person was the one. Personally, I feel like myself and this person, that if, myself and her, if we both work on ourselves for, a while, maybe a couple years, that we could come back together. I don't know. But I felt like that this person was the one, and then we did end up breaking up, which kind of broke down the idea of what the one is for me. So I kind of want to get deeper into that. I want to get deeper into this idea of love. Like, I felt like I had this love for this person, and I still do, that kind of goes beyond understandings and kind of makes you not care about other things as much, and where this whole relationship, this whole thing matters more than anything else in the world. So, looking at love in more of a broader sense, personally, I mean, I feel like this idea of love, I feel like I myself don't even, having this had just happened, I don't feel like I understand love yet, if I ever will. Personally, at this point, having this just had happened, I'm kind of have decided that I don't want to be with anybody else, um, for at all in the foreseeable future. Then I'd rather just be by myself. Well, I mean, of course, be with friends and family, of course, but when it comes to a lady friend, be by myself and, you know, do this because this is what I am passionate about. Most of the time, when I'm a healthy human being, when I'm a healthy human being, doing philosophy videos on this channel is what my passion is, and what I want to do. So I haven't really been that healthy in the past couple months, so I haven't really been doing anything. But what I want to do is what I'm planning on doing is to, swearing myself to solitude in that sort of area for the foreseeable future, going to work and working my ass off at work, and then coming here and doing this when I'm not tired, when I'm not too tired to do so. So there's that. So the whole idea of love, I feel like I don't understand yet. The whole general idea of love, I think, is something that gets so twisted and messed up. So twisted and messed up beyond recognition that when we take into ourselves, or when we think about love in our perceptual boundaries, it becomes something other. It becomes some other kind of thing that we don't know what the hell it is. And because a certain person does a certain thing for you, or is a certain thing to you, that could mean that in other areas you are being neglected, or something like that. I feel like in the case of a girl, a lot of girls will give themselves to a man in lots of different ways, including a sexual way, where she's doing that because she wants to be loved, but she doesn't know that herself doing that isn't going to get her love. She's going to get booted at some point by this asshole who is just trying to get another notch on his belt, where she's trying to do this because she wants love. And that's a common thing, I feel like, but it's different for everybody. Everybody has this different idea of love, because love, I feel like, in the Bible, the idea of love is something that God is. So I guess to go into I don't normally want to talk about my religious beliefs, even though I feel like I should sometimes. I am a Christian, of course, and reading the Bible, God is love, and God loves every person on this earth, including you and me, beyond anything that we could possibly understand about. Because you and I, we're gonna beat ourselves down. I'm gonna say to myself, I'm a loser, I fucked up. I'm a fuck up. I'm whatever. I'm gonna beat myself down. Where I don't, whether well, I'm pretty sure that most people on my channel are not religious, because most philosophy people are not religious, the way I've seen it. But in my religion, when you beat yourself down, there is a God who loves you more than you can possibly understand, and sees a different picture of you. And I think it's also the case that with love, we take this idea of love that God has, which is pure and heals everything and takes care of everything, and we kind of bring that into our human perceptual boundaries, which kind of messes it up and makes it something else. Where sometimes we might see love as a doing things for each other, like gifts or services, or sexual stuff. You know, it could be different things depending on who you are. And we could kind of sort of we basically as people warp love into this different thing. So taking the idea of love out of the religious aspect in which I have just described it, I think love, no matter what, is something which sees beyond anything that any person is. And love, I feel like, is a objective concept which isn't bound to any one person or one thought. Love is something. Love, I feel like, is a feeling and a expression from one party to another, be it one person to one other person, or a group to another group, or whatever, where there's a feeling of blamelessness of the one who is being loved, and where if I'm truly loving somebody, I'm seeing them as blameless and wonderful and just this person, and I'm just seeing them as just this person that I love. Well, if you love somebody, you see them as blameless and pure, even though you know that they've done some bad things, of course. But I don't know where I'm going with this exactly. But I feel like that in my relationship, I feel like what happened was we started to keep things from each other, and that kind of can cause problems, but that's a different issue. But the idea of love itself, I feel like, is something that gets twisted and warped, whether it's just because of how we were raised to think it to be, or because we warp it subconsciously because it's something that we want it to be, where we don't want to boot some, like, let's say, a girl is in a horrible relationship where she's getting beat by this asshole husband. She won't leave him because she loves him. That's a common problem. Battered woman syndrome. And battered woman syndrome doesn't always mean that the woman still loves the man. In many cases, it does, though. And I don't really know what the fuck I'm talking about anyway. I'm just kind of rambling about the idea of love itself. And the way I see love is the way God sees love, and the way God writes love in the Bible. But I feel like we should look at this idea of love outside of religion in a objective way,